Y'all ever meet that person that they just can never seem to decide what they want? They'll say they want this, and then when they get it, they think, maybe I don't want that. You know what? I want this. And then when they get that, they think, no, I don't want that. I want this. That is James Harden.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Now, let me break down what I mean when I say that. And to do that, I am going to go all the way back to the golden era of James Harden basketball back in Houston. Back in Houston, James Harden had it made. Man, that was the good life. These were the good old days for him. He had Coach Mike D'Antoni, who built an offensive system that tailored everything around him. ISO, run and gun, defense, offense, we're going to try and score as many points, jack up as many threes as we can. Everything was built and tailored around Harden's offense. He also had a GM in Daryl Morey who brought in the players that fit this system. PJ Tucker, he had Chris Paul for the years, Capella, that ran along in this system that complemented him so well. And there's no denying that it worked. I mean, Harden was the MVP. He was the multi-year scoring title champion. He led the league in assists in years. There's no doubt that it worked and it was a success, and it showcased Harden to be the MVP, and deservedly so. But there was the one big problem of Kevin Durant deciding to join Golden State and just ruin the NBA for a few years. So they could never quite get past that hump. And eventually all of that just kind of ran its course. Eventually Morey resigned and moved on. D'Antoni decided not to come back. Players were getting traded in and out, and it just seemed like, okay, this system that was centered around ISO, Harden, ball, run and gun, was basically coming to an end. It became obvious that Houston was going to go more into a rebuild, and the question just became, is Harden going to stay and be a part of this rebuild for a few years and hopefully get back to championship level ball later, or does he want to bounce? Well, with hindsight being 2020, yeah, he wanted out. It was obvious Harden wanted to be a part of a championship contender, and with Houston deciding to go into this rebuild, he wanted no part of it. He reported late to training camp. When he did report to training camp, he was very much out of shape of what he was before. May or may not have been a fat suit involved.
Damn, boy!
We don't know. He was saying he was injured part of the time. He just did not want to be there, and he was going to make life a living hell for Houston until they got him out of there and gave in to his trade request. And the crazy part is, he did get exactly what he wanted. As we know, he gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets, which already boast Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So he joins that three-headed monster in Brooklyn. So it's crazy, but all his antics and showing up late and really kind of giving up on the Houston Rockets organization and team all worked out for him in that he got exactly what he wanted. He got traded to a title contending team that was really one of the favorites to win the title that year. But of course, we all know how that went down. And in February of 2022, James Harden asked for a trade out of Brooklyn, the very same organization he specifically requested to be traded to, and he gets it in the big Ben Simmons, James Harden swap. In later interviews with James Harden, when he was asked about the whole situation with the trade from the Brooklyn Nets, he said it was all about the structure, that he just didn't see the direction of the organization and the structure within the organization he was unhappy with. However, there are other reports out there. I have no insider sources, so this is just stuff I've read, that Kevin Durant and James Harden butted heads a lot within that locker room. Apparently, Kevin Durant didn't like the physical shape that James Harden was in.
Damn, boy!
Wanted him to be in better shape, amongst other things. There was, of course, also the whole Kyrie drama of the vaccination and his off-court drama going on, injuries happening. And this is just me speculating. There's no sources on this, but I just do feel that there was a part of it that was James Harden being the man and the MVP, and everything goes through him in Houston. And all of a sudden he's on this Brooklyn team where he's really the third wheel of this. And if there was a championship that was won, it was going to be a Kevin Durant won championship, a Kyrie Irving won championship, not quite a James Harden won this championship for us. When they all three were on the court, there was no denying that it worked. We have a small sample size. All three were only on the court for 16 games. But in those 16 games, they won 13 of them. I think had they given it more time to work, really work through the injuries where they could all be healthy at the same time, you could see them definitely being a championship level team. So it was exactly what James Harden wanted, but yet he still wanted out. So as I said, on the trade out of Brooklyn, says he wanted more structure, and what better timing than Philly, where guess who's there but his old GM, Daryl Morey, the one who helped him in his MVP years build what he had in Houston. He is now in Philadelphia. Joel Embiid is there. It seems like a perfect situation for Harden to go into. So it seems like, again, in the same way that he got exactly what he wanted going from Houston to Brooklyn, it seems like going from Brooklyn to Philly, he's getting exactly what he wants, where he's claiming he wants structure. He's getting that GM that helped him build his best years in Houston. Now he can do that in Philly. And yet, here we are with James Harden demanding a trade out of Philly. He doesn't want to be there. Him and Daryl Morey's relationship has gone down the toilet. By now, you've probably seen it, but James Harden is on video claiming to call Daryl Morey a liar, and then proceeded to go out to the clubs, order bottle service, where they brought out a bottle, shooting out fireworks, and a sign behind it with Daryl Morey is a liar.
Why the fuck you lying?
Now, obviously, there's something that happened for him to come out and call Morey a liar. We can speculate, and my guess is that it's probably over the contract issues that James Harden wants. It's no secret that James Harden is looking for max deals. He believes he's a player that's worth those. He did not get a max deal this last contract with Philly, and it seemed like maybe he was of the agreement with Morey that, hey, I'll take the pay cut now, but on my next contract, I want the max deal. He's getting to the point where you'd get this next deal where he's expecting a max contract, and maybe they're telling him, James, we ain't going to give that to you. And so now maybe that's what he's calling him a liar. Again, this is all just me talking, me speculating. I've got just about as much sources in the NBA as Stephen A. Smith, which is nothing, zero. Really, like I said, it comes down to what does James Harden want? Claimed he wanted to be on a championship contending team. He got that with Brooklyn, left them. Claims he wanted structure, got that with Morey in Philadelphia with Embiid there. They got the players around him to contend. Is now wanting to get out of that. The question is, what does James Harden want? What is he looking for? Again, this is just me talking, me speculating. I've got no insider knowledge or no source. I'm not texting James Harden about what he wants and what he doesn't want. Well, I think he's looking for two things. First thing, I think he is looking to get back to a place where he can play the James Harden basketball of his Houston days. I think he thinks he still has it. He can be that player. This past summer, there was reports that he actually wanted to go back to Houston. There's different reports out there. Apparently, Coach Udoka maybe didn't want Harden to come in and try and take over things. He'd rather let his young players grow and mold. I'm sure his thought was Harden's going to come in here and try and be the Harden of old. And really, they don't need that anymore. They don't want that anymore. Harden's still believing he can be that MVP player. He just needs a place to do it. But I don't know if there's an NBA team out there that's wanting to take that chance. Second thing he's looking for, money. I think it's obvious he feels he's still deserving of a max contract. I think he thought he'd get it in Philly. I'm just speculating, but I think Philly's told him, hey, we're not going to give you the max contract. I think that's the main reason he is demanding this trade, is that they probably told him, we're not giving you max contract. He's saying, if you're not going to give this to me, I don't want to be here. I'm out. But now the problem for James Harden becomes, which NBA team is going to want this version of James Harden for the amount of money that he wants? I really can't think of a contending team that would say, yeah, let's take Harden and make him our focus to go towards this championship. Maybe them Shanghai Sharks, I don't know, are they contending for a championship this year? It's become a bad situation in that Harden's really between a rock and a hard place, because I don't think that there's a trade out there that Philly can make in which they get back what they feel is fair for Harden. I don't think other teams are willing to give up valuable assets for a guy who's, one, going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So you can lose him in a matter of 9-10 months from now, he might be gone. And number two, you're trading for a guy who's shown a history of when he gets unhappy, he just quits on teams, doesn't come to camp in shape, whether it's fakes injuries or just doesn't play much when he doesn't like where he's at. It's a tough situation for Harden. Obviously feels betrayed by Morey and by Philadelphia's front office. He said specifically, or for like that, he doesn't want to be in an organization where Daryl Morey is a part of it. And right now, Philly pretty much has the upper hand in that they can just hold on to him. And with the new rule that's in play, basically Harden has to show up and has to play for Philadelphia, or else pretty much his contract freezes and he cannot become a free agent at the end of the year. So he has to show up for Philly. If I had to place my bets on what I think is going to happen with this whole situation, I think Harden will show up, will be injured, most likely a back injury. If you saw that podcast with Kevin Garnett and them, Paul Pierce was talking about how you just say you got a back injury and there you go, you're good, you don't have to play. I think this situation will actually play out probably up until January, when all these summer signings are then eligible to be traded. If there's any teams that are looking to offload some of their people, they'll have a valuable piece in James Harden. We'll just see how much a team would want James Harden, because again, at the end of the season, he is going to be a free agent. So whoever takes him on might only have him for 5-6 months, and then you lose him for nothing. So trading for him is going to be a bit tricky, but that might be best case scenario for Philly, is just to wait until midseason. So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I know there's a lot to it, stuff I didn't even get into. Do you think he's going to get traded soon? Do you think it will be more towards the deadline, or do you think maybe they'll figure it out and he'll end up playing with them through the season? Let me know. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.